Hello, everyone. I'm Mohammed, and we are here with Jane Darnell, who goes by the username Jane023. And we are going to be talking about Listeria, generating lists based on Wikidata. But before we get into it, Jane, do you remember the first time you edited Wikidata and what really sparked your interest in it?
I'm one of the people who was really excited about the idea of Wikidata before it actually became available to end users like me. So I was really waiting until I was able to create a user ID. So I think I started editing for the first time in 2012. And I think my first edits were to paintings, either to paintings or to painters, but that was something on the that had been imported from the Hungarian Wikipedia. I know that for sure because I waited until the first Wikipedia was imported. Because once I knew the import for one language was done, then I knew that there were items for things that I was interested in. And that's what I was waiting for.
Okay, interesting. So in this session, we are going to look at Listeria, which is a tool that allows us to build dynamic lists using Wikidata's data. So first things first, Jane, can you show us an example of a Listeria list and what it can be used for?
So this is a catalog that was published in 2005 for an exhibition of Jacob Ruysdael paintings. Jacob Ruysdael was a 17th century Dutch painter, landscape painter. And this was a traveling exhibition. It went from Los Angeles to Philadelphia to London. And these 58 paintings are all very well known, very well documented, and held in major museums. And because they were already, most of them very well known, a lot of them were on Hungarian Wikipedia already. So this actually has a few items from the early import days of Wikidata. This is a live list, which means that it is periodically updated. It's like any kind of a Wikipedia page. Wikidata is basically has the same sort of layout as Wikipedia in the old version of it. So I can click on the history page here and I can see how often this list gets updated. And Listeria bot is the robot that actually updates this list. And because I've been working on it, it's been running fairly regularly. I've actually been adding some data to these items. The data that I've been adding to these items is not visible in the list, however. So if you look at this list, it has certain columns. And these are the columns that I have selected to publish this list. But I've been adding data to these paintings that has to do with ownership. And you don't see the owner's column in this overview. So even though the item has been updated, the actual list data has not updated, but the list itself gets updated because it just gets pushed by something that happened in any one of these 58 items. It could be something like a change to the description or something. I don't know, but this is an example of a live list. So this is a live list of Jacob van Ruysdael paintings on Catalan Wikipedia article name. And like on Wikidata, I can click on history here, view history for this Catalan Wikipedia. And I see that it has been last updated in 2024. So this is these are updates that are also reflecting changes to the list, even though the data may not have been, in fact, updated, because this one shows even fewer columns than the one I have going on Wikidata. So it gives you a title, a date, and a collection number, and it gives you the Wikidata item number, and that's it.
Or why would anyone want to use Listeria to create a list? Like, for what purpose?
The problem with a list is that it's very hard to keep up to date. So one reason many languages refuse to allow lists is because they're very hard to verify. So you keep a list to be able to have verified data that's useful for other Wikipedians to use for other projects. But it's also a way of checking the data quickly in an overview. So you could, for example, in this particular list, you could look for a particular museum like Hermitage. We can just do a Control F on here and say, how many times does Hermitage exist in this list? And it says here it's 12 times. So there's 12 paintings of the Hermitage in this list. They have a lot of Jacob Russell paintings. That's the kind of things that a list can help you with as a casual user of Wikipedia. And the advantage of holding a list is that it's an easy check. It's an easy check for this particular painter. You from a Wikipedia page about a painter, you can just link to a list of paintings by that painter, and that's going to be probably better if it's coming from Wikidata than if it's coming from one particular student who is editing a short list on Wikipedia in that language.
That makes a lot of sense. So basically, we could use Listeria to make a list to check some data. The data is dynamic, which changes as Wikidata changes, which means the tables get updated as Wikidata changes from people making the edits. If I have a list, for example, and I go to Wikidata and make some changes, does it automatically get reflected on the table, or are there instances where I would have to do something manually to trigger these updates to happen?
Yes and no. It depends on whether the data that you change on Wikidata is going to be included in this list. Like I said, this particular list I'm looking at only has a title, a date, a collection, and the item. So it's actually 3 things that you could change. You could change the title. Then you just go to Wikidata and you change the title for your language. Well, once you've done that, that will trigger this list if it's the Catalan version, right? But you could make another change to this item. For example, you could talk about the type of windmill that's shown in this particular painting at the top, this one up here. If you say this painting depicts that specific type of windmill, that won't show up in this list because this does not have a column for the things that the painting is showing. Do you see what I'm saying? So it depends on the data you're changing, whether it'll show up in the list automatically or not.
What I was also hinting at was the manual update button at the top of Listeria pages, which sometimes needs to be manually, click to trigger the tables updates.
This is an exhibition list of Jacob Ruysdael paintings. It's only 58 paintings. It's much shorter than the list I was just showing you. And this particular list does have the manually update button. So on Wikipedia's, you probably won't see that button being shown. Some Wikipedias, it would be locked. They only want certain users to be able to update the list. But yeah, if you manually update the list, then you're asking the robot after that's behind Listeria to update it right now. So I will occasionally use that button if I'm working on something on Wikidata and I just want to make sure that this item that I added is included in the list. Sometimes if I click manually, it might take up to 4 hours before it actually updates because there's so many people in front of me. Listeria is just a tool, and there are a lot of requests being made. So I will actually run the query that it's based on to get the data, to check my own data. Yeah, there is this automatic manually update, but generally when I create a Listeria list, I always request it to be a monthly update. For me, a month update is enough. I don't need it to update as soon as somebody adds something because I don't I'm not going to watch every single painting all the time.
Yeah. You just showed us an example of a Listeria dynamic list on an actual Wikipedia page. Is this available to everyone to use on their various Wikipedias, or do they need to do something to make Listeria compatible or to make Listeria create these tables on their local Wikipedia?
You can see here on the left-hand side that this particular list is available in several languages. This is a weird thing about Listeria. You need someone who is an admin on your project to actually approve usage of an automatic robot, right?
Jane, is there anything we should be careful about when creating a Listeria list?
Yes, you have to be very careful that your list is not too big. It's possible to create a Listeria list for a group of data that's 10,000 items, but it will not run because Listeria will get a timeout. So you have to think carefully about what your list is going to be, how long you think it's going to be. When it comes to quality of data, you have to think about the list. Is there a way that you can create the list that it will be the highest quality to you for the use that you're considering? Yeah, it really depends. What is the purpose of your list? Are you creating a work list for yourself? Are you creating a work list for a group? Or are you considering, all of the paintings in a particular exhibition, like I was like I was showing you before?
And to my final question, what would you suggest to someone who is new to Wikidata and would like to start editing?
My advice to anybody new to Wikidata who wants to start editing is the same as I would give to anybody who is new to Wikipedia and would like to start editing. Instead of trying to, recreate the wheel, look for something that is very similar to the subject you're interested in and try to see how that's organized on Wikidata. So I try to make the paintings. We have a very large group of people interested in paintings, and we're called the Sum of All Paintings. And the Sum of All Paintings project can be used as a template for people who are interested in sculpture or for people who are interested in other artworks, such as performance art or other things. So, yeah, look within the general area of whatever it is that you want to work on, and try and find something, and then you try to copy paste their work. That's the easiest thing.
Okay, look around and choose which format works for the item you are going to be working on and just copy paste that. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jane.